Hello my dear friends, welcome back to another Star Wars video. It is I coming at you once again, your favourite galactic hostess, Star Wars Meg. So today's my birthday, and to celebrate, we have some very exciting Star Wars news. So no more jibber jabber, let's get straight into it. So the big topic of the day, after many years of rumours and false alarms, everyone's favourite pirate, Hondo Ohnaka, might be finally coming to live action. In a brand new interview, Jim Cummings confirms he did some facial recognition for an upcoming Star Wars project. Now I just want to put it out there as a disclaimer, this could be for a Star Wars Outlaws DLC pack, and not for a movie or a TV show. Alternatively, my dear friends, it might be for Smuggler's Run at Galaxy's Edge. However, some media outlets have speculated it's probably for the Mandalorian and Grogu, the movie in 2026. That would be so insane. We know Hondo is alive after Star Wars Rebels and makes it all the way to the time period of the sequel trilogy. So yes, between episode 6 and 7, he's very much around, during the New Republic, and Star Wars fans were so hoping he was going to be in Skeleton Crew. The Weequay pirate, who leaked months before the show dropped, ended up being Tak Renaud, and not Hondo. But now we know for certain, my dear friends, whatever project he's going to be in, we're about to get more Hondo Ohnaka. Here is the direct quote from Jim Cummings. After being asked about not appearing in the Book of Boba Fett, he says this: "Well, speaking of coming back, knock on wood, we'll see what's in store for our friend Hondo Ohnaka." And later in the conversation, he added, "I did the facial recognition for Hondo for an upcoming project, so stay tuned for that." Again, we don't know the specific project he's talking about, but it's very surprising if it is for the Mandalorian and Grogu that somehow he's allowed to say this. And keep in mind, whatever he's talking about might be something revealed at Star Wars Celebration. Fingers crossed. This is huge. I'm hoping it's for the Mandalorian and Grogu, but at this stage, we shouldn't jump the gun. Jim Cummings is a legend, and he sounded very excited about this. And as I've said before, as a fan of Star Wars Rebels, if we see Hondo again, I hope we get to see his friend Melch. They already have so many cool designs for live-action Ugnaughts. I would love to see this little guy. And then Jim Cummings gives us a little joke, adopting Hondo's voice. He says, "By the way, if you would like to invest in Ohnaka Transport Solutions, don't worry about it. Just send me all your money, and I promise I'll take good care of you." His passion and dedication for Star Wars and all of the characters he's played over the years is commendable. But moving on, my dear friends, in other Star Wars movie news, this is pretty huge. The original, theatrical, unedited, despecialized cut of A New Hope is going to be screened for the first time in decades at the British Film Institute's Film Festival on June 12th. This is rather insane, because as fans have pointed out, George Lucas himself would have had to approve this, because this is kind of against his wishes. There's a reason he made changes. In his eyes, there is a reason for the special editions, and he wasn't a fan of fans going back to watch the original theatrical cut. It's why it's so hard to get your hands on these days. But on June 12th, it's going to be shown at the British Film Institute. This is the cut before it was called A New Hope. In 1977, it was just Star Wars. Those in attendance are going to see the original movie. And it's going to be shown in a dye transfer IB Technicolor print that was first produced for the initial British release. So this version won't include any of the edits that came after 1997. And this is where it gets better. Well, at least for those who are going to go. In addition to the screening, attendees will have the opportunity to view material from the original continuity script, which includes on-set Polaroids, annotations, and deleted scenes. The script is from the collection of Ann Skinner, the script editor on the original film. So just as George is hosting the 45th anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back, I wonder if he had a say in this. I wonder if Lucasfilm asked him for permission. You can understand why a lot of fans would be very excited if Lucasfilm were to re-release this, and not just for one event, but publicly. The original version is the version that launched a Star Wars phenomenon. I wasn't around yet in 1977, but I know plenty of you guys were, and many of you remember it. And by the way, if you do, let me know in the comments. The original version, and I guess this is why the BFI is doing this, represents a cultural shift, a specific point in cinema history, capturing George Lucas's magic that changed everything. So at the very least, it's amazing that they're recognizing this importance. I hope George Lucas had a say in this, and I really hope he approved. I understand it's Disney's prerogative, but we don't know about every single little provision that might have been made during the acquisition. You see, in recent years, fans seem to think they know what George Lucas wants, especially George Lucas purists who say, well, we speak for George. Where Disney went wrong, we the fans know what George Lucas would have wanted. And as much as I love George more than anything Disney Star Wars has ever done, that isn't always the case. We honestly don't know what George Lucas wants, because sometimes he says things which really surprise us. He loved the Kenobi show. On the subject of the original cut, maybe he's softened up a bit, we don't know, because I know he stood by his special editions. And from the very moment I started my YouTube career, every now and then I'll come across a viral video where people compare different scenes between the original version, the 1997 version, the 2004 version on DVD which tweaked it again, and the 2011 version. There are literal devotees to spotting every difference, and to parallel them side by side, and I think that's amazing. But this fascination with the original version also comes from a place of disagreeing with George Lucas's revisionism. Some of his changes, in the eyes of fans, kind of ruin the tone of the movies. For instance, the infamous "Who Shot First?" George Lucas changed it from Han Solo to Greedo, and this alteration became a lightning rod for fan outrage. And I'm not going to retread this because I've spoken about it quite a bit, even recently during Skeleton Crew because Jude Law brought it up. But a big point of disagreement is when George Lucas said, "A movie is never finished, only abandoned." Had he still been in charge of the company to this day, he would have continued making changes, and not just to 4, 5, and 6, but the prequels as well. He was fascinated, and I guess probably is still fascinated, by evolving and updating technology. He loves the art of movie making, which is what made his passion for the Star Wars story so amazing. But at the same time, we can't pretend as a fandom that there wasn't an insane amount of fan backlash when he did make changes. Just like his attitude towards the 1978 holiday special, he's been very blunt when talking about the original theatrical versions. In 2004 he said this, "The special edition, that's the way I see my movie. That's the version I wanted out there. The other movie, it's on VHS if anyone wants it." At the time fans thought this was very dismissive. He then added that he saw the original as an incomplete work of art, saying, quote, "If you saw the original version, I'm sorry because you only saw a half-completed film and fell in love with it." Say what you will, my dear friends, but George has been very consistent on this. He did say that had he had the technology back in the 70s and 80s, he would have made those changes then. And he's even confessed it's the reason he waited so long to make The Phantom Menace. He wanted the technology to catch up with his vision. I'm 100% convinced if he was still running Lucasfilm to this day, he would continue making changes. And a lot of this relates back to a big debate of who owns Star Wars, artistic ownership versus fan preservation. When a piece of art becomes as famous and culturally significant as Star Wars, how much control does the artist really have? Does it grow beyond them? It's a bit of a tricky one. When it comes to George, even though he sold Lucasfilm to Disney, he falls on the side of artist rights. He sees Star Wars as his creation. When he was running the show, he said that to update, to revise, and to withhold versions is his right. He had the right to be unhappy with them and make amendments.